Hey witches, I'm Tiffany, and today we're going to talk about what to do when your magic just isn't working. First of all, if you're here because you had a spell or even several spells fail, I do have a video all about why spells fail, linked down below in the description box as well as up in that corner. In this video, when I talk about magic not working, I'm not just talking about spells. I'm talking about feeling disconnected from the magical universe in general, from deity, ancestors, whoever you honor. You could be struggling to sense your intuition. Maybe your divination readings just aren't making any sense. Can't focus during ritual or meditation. Energy seems stagnant or stuck, or maybe you can't sense it at all anymore. Or maybe you just don't feel like doing magical things, whether that's pagan things, witchy things, magical things, all of those together, but you want to do those things. In this video, I want to address the main reasons that those sort of things happen, and they will for all of us at one time or another, and then let's talk about ways that you can fix them. First, I want you to check in with yourself. What are you eating? Are you putting good, healthy, nourishing things into your body? Are you drinking enough water? Are you drinking too much alcohol or too much caffeine? Are you sleeping enough? Are you exercising or at least getting some sort of physical activity in? Have you been ill, stressed out? Are you feeling down or depressed? What kind of people are you surrounding yourself with? Are you taking time for yourself to relax and do things that you enjoy? Are you skipping out on therapy sessions? You have to consider the fact that all of these things are related. Our spirituality and our magic is connected to our physical well-being, our emotional well-being, and our mental well-being. They are all wrapped in one package. So sometimes if one thing is off in one area, it could affect everything else down the chain. Stop and have that honest conversation with yourself. If something is wrong, if something is off, you need to either fix it or you need to wait it out, and don't expect too much from yourself in the meantime. Just go easy on yourself. You can keep trying to fix it, but sometimes we just have to wait certain things out, right? Like if you have a particular illness, you just might have to wait for it to pass. Do everything you can, of course, in the meantime to get yourself better, but make that your main focus. Don't stress about the fact that maybe you're having trouble communicating with deity, or you haven't been able to astral project in a while. Just take care of the physical priority right in front of you, or whatever the issue is. If you work with spirit, deity, the fae, ancestors, or anyone else, check in with them. How are they? Do you know? Have you been putting out offerings regularly still? Do they need something different from you? Maybe they've been asking for something and you haven't quite been listening. You know, I'm not necessarily saying that they're mad at you, but a relationship goes two ways. So if you've been giving them the same old offerings, maybe you haven't been communicating with them as much as you normally would. Maybe they're a little bit annoyed. I'm not saying they're spiting you, but maybe they've kind of taken a step back, and so you are not feeling their presence as alive in your life as you normally would. But even if the issue isn't directly with them, they can also offer some pretty good advice. So I would recommend putting out some fresh offerings and communing with them, asking them, hey, what's going on? Are you getting in your own way? Do you actually want whatever it is that you're trying to achieve? Whether that is a spell that isn't coming to fruition, whether you are repeatedly attempting astral travel and it's not happening, whether you are reaching out and making offerings because you are looking for a new patron deity, anything under the, magical umbrella that I mentioned, if you are going after it and it's not happening, stop and ask yourself, is this something I really want? Is this failure on me? I did talk about this in that video I mentioned earlier about, why spells sometimes fail, but it's not only important to follow up the magical with the mundane, but sometimes we unintentionally or even unconsciously sabotage our own efforts. So not only are we not backing up the magical with the mundane, not only are we slacking off in that regard, but we are actively working against our own magical efforts. It really happens sometimes, and it takes a really honest conversation with yourself through meditation or journaling or just thinking about it throughout the day to figure out if that's what's happening. Say you perform a cord cutting from an ex, but then they text you and you respond. And you tell yourself, well, hey, they're still a good person. I want to stay in contact with them. I want to remain friends with them. Well, at least give it a break. Give it a little time. You gotta go no contact for a while. Now, in that situation, it's a little bit more obvious what you're doing wrong and that you're doing something wrong in working against your magical efforts than it would be in other situations. So yeah, sometimes it can be a little bit difficult to relate your mundane action to your magical intention, but just sit down with yourself once again, have that conversation with yourself and figure it out. Are you sabotaging your own work? Are you listening to your intuition? Is there maybe a part of your craft that you're not really feeling anymore, but you keep doing it out of habit, or because a particular book or YouTuber said that you should? Maybe you've outgrown it, or you've developed a different belief or a different system of practicing that exercise. Leave it behind or reshape it to your liking, or just give it a little bit of a break for a while. When you do things just because you should, not because you're feeling them and you feel them working for you, they become this kind of monotonous thing. And at that point, they stop serving us. And not only that, but they can start to break down the rest of our practice. Because instead of it being something you enjoy, it becomes this like chore that you have to do. And once you're done with that thing, you know, if you tell yourself, I meditate 30 minutes every day, you know what? If that's too much for you, bring it down to 5. Because sometimes if you meditate for 30 minutes in a day, you didn't have much time to do it, you didn't feel like doing it, suddenly that spell you were planning to do that night, I'll do it later, it's fine. Other things start to get neglected when you continue to let the things that don't serve you anymore carry on. And obviously that covers more things in life than just a particular activity in part of your spiritual practice. But definitely ask yourself that. Is there a part of my practice that isn't really serving me anymore? It's exhausting me and wasting my time. But there's more to listening to your intuition than that. If someone else's spell isn't working for you, rewrite it. If somebody else's method of meditation or astral travel or communing with deity doesn't work for you, don't do it that way. Everyone's practice is so unique. Different things work for different people, and we really need to celebrate that. I know there is misinformation out there that says, hey, this is the way to do it. This is the correspondence for this, and this is the way to do that, and you have to do those things or it won't work. But it's simply not true. You should also ask yourself, is there something new you've been yearning to try out or wanting to learn about and you just haven't? Has your intuition been telling you that you have blockages, whether energetic or emotional or just in mundane life, that you need to clear out? Because often when something is wrong, we already know what it is. We just ignore our intuition sometimes. So listening to your intuition does cover many bases there.
Hey witches, I'm jumping in real fast to say that if you're enjoying this video, make sure to hit that thumbs up. It really helps me a lot. And if you're interested in more content, please check out my Patreon. The link for it is down below in the description box.
Are you insane? Or rather, are you repeating the same thing and expecting different results? Again, this was mentioned in that other video I talked about, but sometimes some things just aren't meant for us. Or we just aren't quite ready for them yet. Sometimes you need to tackle something from a different angle, which I did talk about in a live stream. I will also link down below and boom up there. Sometimes we work a little too close to the book, as I already mentioned. If you are attempting something by someone else's methods and it's not working for you, you may want to try a different method. You can either go and check out another resource or come up with your own style. Again, use your intuition to sort of feel out what that is. You could also be jumping 10 steps ahead or even 2 steps ahead if you keep trying to do divination, but it's not making any sense to you, but you haven't actually bothered to study the method. You know, if you're using the runes, study the runes. If you're using tarot, study tarot. If you've skipped that part of it and just jumped right into it, you may be jumping ahead. If you're asking deity or spirits or the fae or anyone else for a favor, but you haven't built a relationship with them, you haven't talked to them, you haven't provided offerings to them, again, you're skipping ahead. If you're trying to do energy work, but you don't really have much of a foundation of grounding and centering, again, you're skipping ahead. So you're just gonna keep repeating the same thing over and over. You're gonna keep doing those runes readings. You're gonna keep asking deity for favors. You're gonna keep trying to do energy work, and they're just not gonna work until you backtrack a little bit. Or maybe you are so focused on getting one thing done, whether that's mastering a certain activity or casting a spell for a specific intention. You're so focused on that one thing. I want it, I want it, I want it. You keep casting the spell over and over and over again, and it's still not working. But you know what? You're so focused on that, you are not acknowledging other areas of your life or your magical practice that need attention. It happens, you know, I do get very tunnel visioned at times, so I can completely relate with that scenario. So not only are you continuously failing to accomplish that one goal, but you're also neglecting and damaging other areas of your life, other areas of your practice, and therefore yourself, which is only going to lead to other failures. And finally, are you burnt out on routine or in general? It happens. It does. It sucks, but it happens. Burnout can definitely happen if you are doing too much all at once. Or again, if you were focused on one thing and other areas got neglected. Or sometimes that one thing or that one area of your life really does need to take precedence, but you're so burnt out from it, you just too exhausted to do the other things. If you're feeling this way, I highly recommend you take a break. Or just focus on the simple things that you love. And that could be as small as meditating for 5 minutes and lighting a candle at the end of each day. It could just be journaling and setting the rest aside for now. It's really okay to take breaks. Sometimes when I reach out to my witchy friends and I say, hey, what's going on with you? They'll say like, oh, I haven't been practicing for a while. I feel really bad about it. But you know what? Don't. I mean, you don't want to completely neglect it, unless of course you learn that this path just isn't for you, but there's nothing wrong with just setting it aside for a little while. Take a little break. You can, keep your altar spaces clean and let that be all you do. If you're really concerned about feeling this disconnection or this magical failure, or just that, your spiritual life just isn't working for you right now, you can always consult a friend or a professional for a reading so you can gain some insight. Or of course, you can always see an energy healer. That's another option as well. Whatever you can manage to do. But sometimes I find a lot of people just need to take a step back, take a little mini break, and just stop and ask yourself all of those things that I just laid out for you in this video. Am I neglecting things? Am I burnt out? Am I sabotaging my own efforts? Just know that it's okay. It happens to all of us. All right, witches, that's all I have for you today. If you've ever experienced this before, drop it down in the comments below. Tell me what happened and tell me how you fixed it. I would love to hear from you all. And of course, you never know who may come along and see what you wrote and relate to you and, hey, could take a little bit of extra advice. I'll see you all next week with a brand new video. In the meantime, stay magical.